So, Tony, would you want to come in on talk about this, on the upsides you see and how ESG is actually helping businesses to grow?
Yeah, so we're certainly seeing ESG being affected as a much more strategic discussion from when we started our journey many years ago, where we see a lot of organizations still talking about ESG is how do we meet those regulatory frameworks and aspire to making sure that we're doing reporting as accurately as possible. Where I think we perceive that as it's really the very first phase of the ESG strategy, and the value actually comes from, Steve mentioned it, getting those reporting tools in place accurately so you have the baseline in place. From the baseline, the whole strategy and output of the business improves from that point. Certainly, we're seeing a lot more organizations looking at how ESG data, ESG monitoring, ESG structure can add value from a pure valuation perspective of a business. So by ensuring that we can showcase we've reduced carbon by 20%, that we reduce staff turnover rates, that we have a well-structured balance of diversity in the business, that there's sufficient training from different age groups and different departments of the organization, which are all part of that social impact side of it now, all the way through to even looking at elements around cybersecurity, which is an increasing part of the whole ESG practice. So the real process about trying to drive value into a company is taking, I think, not just the environmental side, which of course is critically important and has a huge upside, but taking that full ESG practice and governance and risk together and making sure that all of those elements are working effectively to support the business. And when we talk to financial institutions, certainly what we are starting to see is that there's a growing trend towards what we call integrated reporting. So not only are we looking at the financial metrics of the company on a monthly basis, we also want to understand what are the non-financial metrics of that company also on a monthly basis. So whilst many organizations have been traditionally looking at annual reporting, putting together the report of the company once a year, we're seeing an increasing trend towards tracking that organization on a monthly basis. So have you managed to reduce your staff turnover rates by 10% as you expected to do by the end of the year? How are you tracking against that? All of those facets, I think, are being packaged towards what's the overall brand value of the business. So when we start to talk to financial institutions and they're positioning companies for IPO, M&A, trade sale, or additional financing even, all of these facets are very, very important indicators towards the health of the business. So I think that's one of the fundamental changes we've seen, is the increasing push towards looking at non-financial metrics and driving it almost in exactly the same way as you would report a financial set of KPIs on a monthly basis, adapt that practice together. And increasingly what we're seeing is a lot of focus around some of those non-financial metrics as to why they are not looking as good as they should be. You know, why are we not driving down our carbon footprint in the way that we thought we could do this year? Have we done enough to retrofit our facilities and make sure staff are having a reduction in injury rates, for instance? All of those elements are now very evident in the view of a financial organization. So I think when we get all of that together, structure it in an integrated way, the value of that business is undoubtedly going to increase. And there's a huge amount of discussion now about how do we value companies based on non-financial data that showcases an organization has performed well in terms of its ESG practices by being an ethical company, by reducing its carbon footprint, by reaching targets that they say they're going to reach. There has to be a value attached to that organization, and increasingly that's part of the financial measurement of the business.